Hi, my name is Brendan. You're watching Arts Alive Delaware. So the opera's role in any community is sort of outsized. It sounds pompous to say this, but in any arts community, by nature of what opera does, we touch a little bit of different corners of the art. So when we perform a fully staged production at the Grand, we're including singers, yes, but costumers. We have an orchestra in the pit. We have artisans who build and paint the sets. So it's by nature of the fact that it's a multidisciplinary art form, I feel like we're naturally at the center of the arts community. But yeah, opera is a big, bold endeavor, and I think that nature sort of puts us in a central role in the arts community. OperaDelaware is the 11th oldest opera company in the country, founded in 1945, just after the war. And it was a volunteer initiative for a lot of years. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall back in those days when they were performing at Breck's Mill, and it was a social endeavor as much as it was an artistic endeavor. The company over the years, back in the early '80s, was when they landed on the riverfront and developed our facility that we're still in today. I still marvel at how a group of volunteers had the skill and the grit to obtain and renovate that property, because it's a huge effort. Long history of family opera programming, children's opera programming, and new works, especially in the heady MBNA days. It seemed that new works were a big focus for the company. We've really shifted over the past few years to kind of get out to the world that we punch above our weight class, and we're close to a lot of communities. So we've had a lot of success in sort of pulling people in from outside the area. And so it's a great chance for us to shine a light on all of the assets that we have here in this state. People from out of town come in and see the Grand Opera House and they lose their minds, because there's really nothing like it on the East Coast. Back in 2016, in an interest of trying to bring people here from out of town, we shifted to a festival model where we had multiple shows going on at one time at the Grand. It was a big old game of beautiful Tetris. After COVID, we've sort of shied away from putting all those eggs in one basket one time of the year. So what you can expect today is generally a full-scale opera in the fall, a full-scale opera in the spring at the Grand Opera House, and then a whole mess of what we call second stage offerings at our facility on the riverfront. Smaller in scope, smaller in numbers of performers, but really compelling, interesting, intimate performances throughout the year. And beyond that, the performances that we do out in the community, especially through the use of our pop-up opera program, our goal is to sort of be everything everywhere all at once. And so in terms of things you can come to, two things a year at the Grand, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? This only exists for 4 nights. You can't stream it, you can't pause it, you can't rewind it. So we have to convince people to put it on their calendars first. But those who do are really rewarded, right, for showing up for that really unique experience that only exists for the 2.5 hours that you're there. It's really like nothing else. As mentioned, opera in its very nature collaborates with a bunch of different art forms, and we're no different. We routinely work with organizations like the Wilmington Children's Chorus when we need a children's chorus for one of our productions, with the First State Ballet, and with the organizations that you wouldn't be surprised we're collaborating with. Grand Opera House is another one. Although we don't work directly with the Delaware Symphony, many of the artists in the DSO are also in the OperaDelaware Orchestra. So we work with many in terms of producing the art, but then we have many other partners, I think, through our facility. We sometimes produce smaller scale things with Delaware Shakespeare. Delaware Shakespeare has their offices in our facility, and they have their rehearsals in our facility. New Light Theater works with us. So there aren't many arts organizations that we don't have occasion to interact with, either through direct partnership in producing something, or working with them on making our space available. It's the list of non-partners is probably shorter. Yeah, pop-up opera has been one of those things that's just reframed everything that we do. We are not the first opera company to send artists out into the community, but the tradition had been to send artists who are still in development out into the community. We choose to send our very best fully developed artists because we've seen what happens when a passerby walks by and sees the NFL quarterback doing their thing. They stop and pay attention. So pop-up opera has sort of served as the Pied Piper for us. I joke that it's the operatic equivalent of the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, where when that's driving down the road, you can't help but look at it. But when we are stationed in a city park or at a public event on the street, it's really difficult to walk past it and not stop and pay attention for a minute. So it's literally brought people back to the theater. People have followed us back. But I think the greatest thing for the organization is that it allows us to say yes to more people. Traveling downstate prior to pop-up opera was a big challenge. Opera is very clumsy to move. But the fact that we know that we have this contained thing that's like a distillation of the experience that you're going to have, it's easy for us to be anywhere. And the art that we produce on the pop-up opera trailer is the same, whether we're at the Rehoboth Beach Country Club or the Wilmington Hope Commission or Open Streets Wilmington or in a donor's meadow in Chateau Country. The art is the same. The way we talk about it is a little bit different. So it's a huge marketing endeavor for us. We live in a reality where prior to the pandemic, less than 2% of the population interacted with opera. So why are we going to spend money trying to reach people in broad channels when 98% of the population doesn't know what we do? If we can introduce somebody to the very best of what we do, or at least one element of it, we get to overcome objections rather than confirm them. And so it started as a pandemic era, well, we can't be inside, let's perform outside. We did not expect for it to still be paying such extraordinary dividends and be such a part of our present and future, frankly. Many ways to get involved. The first thing to do is to come to a show, right, and see what it is we do. Visit our website. There is a tab where you can find out about volunteering, tab where you can find out about supporting financially. But I think the biggest thing that people can do for us is to, number one, accept that we can have great things here in Wilmington. You don't have to go elsewhere to see high quality art. Tell friends that. Let's echo that statement that we do punch above our weight class artistically in this town. The best way you can get involved is to help amplify that. And not just for OperaDelaware, I mean for many of our organizations. Websites are a great place to start, though, if you're looking forward to getting involved. Somebody told me once that great civilizations are not measured on the strengths of their economy, rather on the art that they produce. I don't know who said it, I don't know who to attribute it to, but it's really stuck with me. I mean, it's our identity, right? So why I think the arts are important here in Delaware is that we give our community the opportunity to gather at a prescribed place at a prescribed time and to experience something together. That's a uniquely human thing to do, right? To gather together, to choose to be in the same place and collectively react to something. I mean, the arts get us in touch with our humanity, and they cause us to think about things a little differently. Music specifically, forces us to kind of sit with subtext for a minute and not immediately jump to conclusions or have an opinion, right? But to really just sit there and think. So I think it's just important to humanity. At its core nature, it's a uniquely human thing, the arts. And I think those things need to be supported and amplified, today especially.